I don't know where it comes from, but if it's to be, it's up to me.
I like that.
That's been around for such a long time, but I had that in my mind. It came to me and I thought, no. If it's to be, it's up to me. So let's stop all this blame. Let's look at where I am. Let's be honest about where I am. And now let's somehow, and I had no idea. But what I've learned, I had no idea how to get out of that, but I knew one thing. If I can condition my mind and my belief system, think the universe will orchestrate events around me.
Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. This is Conor, Healy with the Unplugged podcast number 51. I can't believe we've already reached 50 episodes. My partner in crime and fellow legend, Kallum Hock, is on holidays tonight with his family in the beautiful Blue Mountains, and we are very lucky to have a living legend and I think one of the most high-profile quiet achievers in the coaching world, founder of Noble Manhattan, Mr. Gerard O'Donovan, who's zooming in all the way from southern England today. Gerard, such a pleasure to have you on the Connekt Unplugged podcast this afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Conor, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Down here on the southern hemisphere, on the southern island of the world, Noble Manhattan, I think, has a huge name in America and in Europe. Down here, could you share a little bit about Noble Manhattan and where you are in the world? And I mean, this is a big question, but what has been one of your secrets to maintaining such a strong position in the coaching world with Noble Manhattan?
Sure. Well, we've been going now. This is our 25th year. And we are, as you know, a coach training school. We have something like 20 completely separate coach training programs. And we train people to be, you will know the phrases, life coach, executive coach, team coach, manager coach, parenting coach, and so on. You're right. Although we're a worldwide brand, we actually have almost no representation at the moment in sunny Australia. We have offices right now in 26 countries worldwide, but not down there in the Southern Hemisphere.
Why is that?
Well, it's a good question. We've never done any marketing to attract partners.
Got it.
We work with what we call master distributor partners in 26 countries worldwide. We've just opened up in Nigeria. We've just opened up in Japan about 4 or 5 months ago. And these people have generally approached us and we've developed a strong relationship, a strong bond. We've got to know, and I've got to like them. And then we've formed a partnership where they would represent us in their particular region and language. We actually deliver programs in 8 languages worldwide.
Fantastic. I mean, I've been in the coaching world for 21 years, predominantly, obviously, in the Southern Hemisphere here. Noble Manhattan has been around for 25 years. And I think on the last stats that I read through your website, you've trained over 30,000 coaches, which is insane. Where did it start? So, I mean, I have a general understanding why people get into the coaching world through other podcasts and myself. But 25 years ago, coaching was really just in its infant stages in the world. How did you know that this was going to be an area of growth? But I guess also, let's go back a little bit further. How did you even end up in the coaching realm, yet alone founding one of the largest coaching schools and developers in the world?
Purely by accident, absolute accident. I was running a brief history. I spent a number of years in the military, 9 years in the Royal Marines. I came out, I went into the insurance world of all things, built up an insurance company. I sold that. And in 1994, end of 4, beginning of 5,
Mm-hmm.
I started a personal development company. Very small, just me, on my own, working from home,
Yeah.
running courses on attitude, power of the mind, presentation skills,
This is,
goal development. And but it's very small. And I had one secretary and so on. And there was a show in London called the Vitality Show at a place called Olympia, big exhibition center.
okay.
And it was a 4-day show. And I paid for a booth, a stand,
Mm-hmm.
and my assistant came with me, lovely girl, and we were all dressed in the company colors, and we had put roll-up banners and posters.
Yeah. I know it. Yeah, that's great.
And it was all about personal development, not coaching at all, not coaching.
Okay.
And on the second day, I got bored, and I said to Stacey, "Look, can you man the stand? I'm going for a coffee."
Hmm.
And it's a huge exhibition center, Olympia, hundreds and hundreds of exhibitors. And I went and got a coffee, and I was just walking around. And as I walked down a wall, a pathway, a fire door opened.
Hmm.
And it was the back of a lecture room. And there was a lecture going on. So someone had been in the lecture and had gone out the back fire door, which you're not meant to do. You're not meant to open. But they left the door open, literally as I walked past. And I could hear this lady, an American voice, talking inside. And I got curious.
Hmm.
So I just slipped in and shut the door behind me. And I stood in the dark, the back of the room. Everyone else had paid to go into that lecture.
Hmm.
And I just gate crashed it.
Hmm.
I stood in the dark at the back, and it was an American lady called Laura Berman Fortgang, very feisty lady from New York. And this was 1995.
Hmm.
And she was talking about this thing called life coaching, which I had never really
In 95.
95.
Wow.
And she talked about life coaching and what it is and what it does and how it changes people. And I just stood, listened. And for me, it just pulled it all together, pulled all the strands of personal development to like the hub of a wheel. So I waited, she finished. And you know what it's like? People do a talk at the end, people rush up. She was selling books in those days and cassettes and DVDs.
Yes,
and
cassettes. Yeah.
And I waited and waited until everyone left. And she was just packing up her case.
Hmm.
And I walked up to her and said, hi. And in those days, we had business cards.
Yes.
I gave her mine. I asked for hers. And I said, I'm interested in this life coaching. How does one become a coach? And that's how it started. I then investigated the industry. There was nothing in the UK. There was nothing in Europe. So I trained with a couple of American companies back then. A man called Thomas Leonard, who was the father of coaching, and a couple of others. I did 3 different courses over a 14-month period.
Okay.
And then the end of 96, I started to coach. And I just coached and coached and coached. And in those days, people had no idea what it was. You know, you would say, I'm a coach. And they thought you meant autobus, you know.
Oh,
People
like a bus.
like a bus, yeah.
Or a sports
How much does
coach.
it-
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to say, oh, you're a coach. How much does it cost to go from London to Glasgow?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
does your coach have toilets on board? And so I had to educate people. And it was interesting, you know, asking people to pay for a service they'd never heard of. But I coached and coached and coached day after day after day. And then in the year 2000, it was then I started to train my first coaches, just 1 or 2. And it has grown since then. And we've been blessed. We've been just blessed to have attracted the most magnificent people to join us. You know, most of our team, they've been with me 18, 19, 20 years.
Goodness.
And yeah, so it's incredible.
Brilliant. I love the backstories, by the way. So how does someone go from the military to insurance? I could see that. And then from insurance to personal growth. What was the trigger or the learning or the decision or the event that made you change track like that?
Okay, so I left the military having done 9 years, I joined an insurance company right at the bottom. You couldn't get lower. Commission only and cold calling, selling insurances, pensions, mortgages, savings, knocking on doors on the telephone. I made no money, zero for the first 3 months to sell my car to put food on my table. But then I got the hang of it, started to do well, started to then build teams. Company I was with, I left after 2 years, set up my own company called Noble Manhattan Financial Services. And that grew and grew. And we ended up having over 1,000 people in the UK. We became the largest privately owned direct Salesforce insurance company in the UK.
Wow.
And that we were bought out, or I sold it to a company called Cornhill Insurance in 94. Now, although I enjoyed it, well, I did and I didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed working with the people. I enjoyed helping the people to move up, becoming team leader, senior team leader,
So
branch
the growth
manager.
that came. Yep.
I loved working with the people. I didn't particularly love the products, selling insurances and pensions and so on. So when I left and I sold my business, I wanted to do something that worked with people and helped people to grow. So that's why I set up what I called Noble Manhattan Personal Development, just running courses on attitude, power of the mind, belief systems.
And where did you? So two things. Noble Manhattan. So that's not that wasn't created for your coaching business. That was.
Oh.
So where did that come from? Yeah.
Years and years ago, when we set up the financial services business, my wife and I, we just sat at our kitchen table with a pot of coffee. I got a sheet of paper and we started writing names and drawing lines between them. And I knew I wanted a name that sounded professional. I wanted it to sound expansive, quite big, but even though it didn't exist, we were just starting. There was just me and my wife. And when we linked Noble with Manhattan, I can't understand. I can't explain it. It just felt right. Sometimes you feel it in your tummy. It just felt right.
You looked out the window, a shooting star went by, and you said, "That's it."
Exactly.
That's it. So, and where did you get your content for the early days in the personal and professional development? Because it was.
I had learned that while I was building up insurance. So when I was in my insurance business, I knew I had to learn how to develop men and women, how to help them to build and grow. So I sought out mentors, men like Jim Rohn from America.
Like
Brian Tracy.
You trained at the gym?
Men like Zig Ziglar. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
These great men and women, Paula Pritchard, another one. I just sat at their feet. I learned, I bought every book they wrote. Back in those days, it was cassette tapes.
Yes.
I bought every tape I could get my hands on.
VHS. Yeah.
Yeah. In my car, I would play audio cassette tapes. I wouldn't listen to the radio. So I just learned these great guys and girls in my insurance business, how to motivate people, how to develop them, how to help them to grow. These were my first teachers, really.
And from that, you created Noble Manhattan Personal Development?
I did, and then changed the name a few years later to Noble Manhattan Coaching.
And did you know that the coaching wave was coming?
Not really. At the beginning, no. At the beginning, I just had this, it was like a magnet. I felt drawn towards it. I felt hugely comfortable in the coaching world. I felt, this will sound a bit weird, but I felt I'd come home. So when I found coaching, I felt this is it for me. I wasn't thinking money. I wasn't thinking building a big business. I wasn't thinking global offices. I just thought, this is it. This is the method, the technique, the process that I could use to help people to grow much more effectively what I've been doing up to now.
I was going to say, this is loaded with a presupposition. The question that came to my head was, had you always been a spiritual person? But I guess I need to ask, were you a spiritual person growing up? Because what you're describing in terms of having a calling and being drawn to it, it it does err on the side of having a spiritual pathway that you've gone towards.
Well, I guess now I would say I am. Back then, I wouldn't have known what that meant.
Mm,
But I have always felt that there is far more to life than this physicality we can see around us.
mm,
I've always felt that there are powers that we can access that we don't know much about. I've always felt that our vision and what we can see is only a small part of what
mm,
really exists. And that's how I would have explained it back then.
mm.
Now I feel I know a lot more, having studied it in great detail.
Mhm.
Uh, so would you call it spirituality? Perhaps, I'm not sure.
And before you were in the army, where did you grow up?
Okay, so I was born and I grew up in Southern Ireland, a small
Okay.
town called Bantry,
Okay.
a very small town, about 4,000 population. My father was a fisherman. We were very poor. I mean,
Mhm.
very. And then my father died when I was 11,
Mm,
unexpectedly with an illness,
mm,
and I had to go to work. So I started my first work when I was 11, because I had a mother, I had a young sister, very young. She was only about 2, and there was no money coming into the house. And in those days in Southern Ireland, there was no such thing as social benefits.
mhm.
You know,
Okay. So you
yeah,
had to work.
if you didn't work, you didn't eat.
Yeah.
That's it.
And what did you do
Well, I had 3 jobs
at
I
11?
at 11. So I worked for a milkman person. I'd get up at 5 in the morning. I would go out delivering milk, come home at about 8. My mother would make me porridge for breakfast. Then I would go to school,
Mhm.
uh, go to school all day. In the evenings, I delivered newspapers for a local company through
Mhm.
doors.
Mhm.
And then at the weekend, I worked in a clothing store, um, basically helping with stock taking, sweeping, cleaning,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So I did that every weekend.
And how long
So
did you do
morning,
that for?
evening, weekend. Oh, I did that for years. And then when I was 14, we moved to Scotland because my
Okay.
mother had a sister who lived there who could help her. And I did exactly the same. I got a milk job, I got a paper job in the evening, and I worked in a hotel every Saturday and Sunday. So I never had a weekend from age 11. And then when I was 17, I joined the military.
Wow. And do you think that upbringing has given you a set of skills that you would have only been able to craft and refine having that sort of work-driven upbringing?
Well, I don't know. You never really know.
Mm,
I know it has given me a huge appreciation for
mm,
life
mm,
and for what life has brought me and allowed me to be. It has given me an appreciation for what hard work will give you,
yeah, yeah.
you know. Um, it's helped me to understand the importance of hard work and focus and
Mhm,
never to take anything for granted.
mm. And when you joined the military, you were there for 9 years.
I was.
Um, what was the catalyst for you to move on out of the military?
Well, um, I had always wanted in my mind somehow to have my own business. My father, although he died, and he ran a fish business.
Hmm.
On my mother's side, they had always been in business. So the talk around the breakfast table, the dinner table as I grew up was always about, I suppose maybe they didn't use the word goals. That wasn't part of our language, but talking about achieving and what we want to do and what our plans are and this and that. So
All right.
I've always had this in my mind that you have to work hard to achieve your destiny. And if you are, let's say, self-employed or have your own business, you are in the driving seat.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have the ability to craft your future. So I've always had that mindset. I loved the Marines. I had a fantastic time, made wonderful friends, still friends today. And it gave me an appreciation of discipline, persistence. Um, but I felt after 9 years, I thought I'd like to strike out on my own,
Mm-hmm.
see what I can do, see what I've got in me.
You left the military. You've had a very, as you said, you were very poor when your father passed, and I'm sorry to hear that he passed whilst you were so young. I guess you had a choice, didn't you? You could have gone one of two ways. You could have thrown your hands up and said, "Well, these things don't happen to us in our family," but you chose a completely different path, probably against the grain. Was it a inner calling? Did you consciously know that I'm going to strive and be more than average? What was it? Or did you say something to yourself? What was it that made you tick, that even wanted to excel in a certain direction? Yet alone coaching, but I guess before it was coaching, I'm sure you had this, as you said, a belief. You were talking about goals. You had no idea maybe where you were going, but you had some sort of drive within you to go.
And I don't know exactly where that comes from, but I've always felt that I need to be in the driving seat of my own life, of my own future. I've always felt that I need to take responsibility for what happens to me now and my wife and my children and in the future, that I shouldn't leave it to other people. Now, whether that's right or wrong, I don't know.
And
But
you've had this since you were young.
I believe so. I've always felt that drive to to look out. We have a phrase I teach our people, especially the business people I work with. I say, no, look up and look out. We don't get blinkered. Look up, look out into the world. See what's there. See the good things. See the threats that are coming. See what's happening. See what you can be. You know, to be all that you can be. Yeah.
I'm starting to feel there's a set of core principles that you live your life by that I'm feeling are jumping out at me, and one of them is obviously hard work. One of them is focusing on your goals, and one that you just mentioned now is being accountable and owning that accountability for what you're doing. You can't leave it up to anyone else. It is on you, and you either make it or you don't. And this is what I love to understand the thinking behind, because I'm sure there would have been some days where you question if you were on the right path, or you question, should I be doing this? Shouldn't I just? Should have I stayed in the army? It was secure. Why did I leave?
I'd had some terrible times. On a couple of occasions, I've literally lost everything, and have to start again with literally not nothing, but less than nothing, with debts and so that was pretty tough at the time.
A lot of our listeners and community members are entrepreneurs, or they're employees, and they have a business that they would like to build up to be a full-time business. What insights could you share with them? Because it's not always roses. A lot of, when you see the Olympic athlete on the podium with the gold medal, I think it's easy for us to forget the 10 years that they spent getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning and in order to get there, and the discipline and the diet and the discipline in the routines, and how boring it could be at some times. But it's what is it that kept you going? Not only kept you going, but has helped you create a huge name and a huge organization in a very progressive industry.
Well, there's an old saying, isn't there? Overnight success takes about 15 years.
Yeah.
So, even in my worst times, and I lost my business at one time, lost everything, lost my marriage, you name it. And then my wife and I got remarried again after 3 years.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. That was my fault completely, totally. But even in the worst times, I always felt this is not the end. This is a road, a bump, although it's a huge bump, and I can't always see the way out of it. at all, but I know that there is a way forward. There is a way out.
Mm.
And sometimes, negative emotions can be very powerful and positive.
Mm.
When I was in the Marines, just before I left, I had a, do not kid myself anymore day. I looked in the mirror and thought, right, I've done it. I've enjoyed my time in the Marines, but I don't want to sign up for another 22 years.
Mm.
I now need to move on to the next phase of my life, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in the insurance world, made a fortune, sold my company, made an awful lot of money, made some big mistakes, lost absolutely everything, lost my house, my wife, you name it, my car. I was living in awful rented accommodation. And then I had
What did you
again,
learn? I mean, obviously, we often make the bad mistakes once because we learn from them. You said you owned it. You said it was completely my fault. I think the words you said.
yeah,
What did you learn? I don't know if you are privy to what actually happened, but in that time when you just said and described the situation you were in, what
well,
learnings came to you?
well, I learned that I need to be responsible. I went through a very short phase, and maybe I think this is normal, of blame. And that
Mm.
lasted a few months, you know, pointing the fingers out, blaming the economy, blaming the government, blaming the people around me, blaming, you name it, everyone else was to blame except me. And that lasted a few months. And then again, I had a stand in front of the mirror moment,
Mm.
looking at myself in disappointment and disgust at where I was.
Mm.
And I thought, you need to get a hold of yourself. You need to start taking charge again and moving forward. So I learned again that, there's an old saying, isn't there? I don't know where it comes from, but if it's to be, it's up to me.
I like that. Yeah.
That's been around for such a long time, but I had that in my mind. It came to me and I thought, no, no, no. If it's to be, it's up to me. So let's stop all this blame. Let's look at where I am. Let's be honest about where I am.
Mm.
And now let's somehow, and I had no idea. But what I've learned, I had no idea how to get out of that, but I knew one thing. If I can condition my mind and my belief system, think the universe will orchestrate events around me. Now, I know that sounds weird.
Now we're getting. We're getting juicy here. This is what I want to hear.
Yeah,
This is what
I've always known, and I've always used affirmations,
Okay.
And I thought, no, I need to get back to that. And I need to start focusing my mind. I don't know on what, but I created some affirmations. I started to focus. I started to visualize myself, not where I was, in a better place. And within weeks, literally weeks, things started to happen. People, places, opportunities started to arrive at my door, as it were.
Yes.
And I just said yes, 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 and grabbed them. So I do believe that you and I, through the power of our mind, our vision, our belief system, we can orchestrate the material world around us to create what we want. You see, in life, and I'm not lecturing, forgive me.
No, I'm liking
life,
this. I love hearing this, Gerard. This is a belief that myself, Kallum, hold. This is very, very aligned with what we show and teach, and it's really refreshing hearing someone who I've really never met before on the other side of the world created a huge business globally, sharing this on the podcast. So please continue.
well, I'm going to say, I realized a long time ago, you and I, as humans, we don't get what we want out of life. And that's a shame. Neither do we get what we need. Now, if we did, there would be no starving children in the world.
Mm-hmm.
What we do get is what we expect at a deep belief level. So we don't get what we want, we don't get what we need, but we do get what we truly expect at a subconscious level.
Mm-hmm.
So we therefore need to, I won't use the word manipulate, or maybe I should. We need to change our subconscious thoughts, feelings, beliefs to be consistent with our major dominant desire. So then you might not understand this. So we become a vibratory match
Mm-hmm.
to what we want. And some people might not understand that language, but it's a language I feel deeply committed to, that we become a vibratory match to what we want.
I know. I think our community would resonate with this tremendously. Hi there, this is Conor and Kallum from Connekt Coaching. Hope you are enjoying the Unplugged podcast. Nothing lights us up more than seeing businesses thrive, especially in uncertain times. We have 32 combined years of doing nothing but mentoring and training businesses from around the globe in order to increase their revenue and thrive in uncertain times. So what we would like to do is share with you a little bit about what we've discovered over the last 32 years.
We've created this amazing business model called the Forever Business Model, and we want to give it to you for free. All you need to do is jump down into the description below. There's a link there called Steal Our Forever Business Model. Click on the link. There's a 9-minute video that you can watch where we unpack everything you need to know to implement it in your business right away.
So the vibration, so what we put out is what we get, and
Yes.
the tuning of our vibration basically attracts what we put out. It's like almost like a magnet in a way. And the frequency of our magnet is what goes out, and therefore the universe, or whatever it is, responds in accordance to that.
Yeah. And you've all heard, you've heard the saying, you become what you think about most of the time. Not totally true. You actually become what you feel about most
Yes.
of the time. But you have to have the thought. The thought creates feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the feeling inside us that actually manifests the world around us. So the real statement is you become what you feel about most of the time. But you have to have the thought to create the feeling.
And is this a line with the coaching that Noble Manhattan teaches, or is this a Gerard learning that you were sharing?
Well, this is more of a Gerard learning.
Yeah,
And
it's
but
great. No, this is
Sure.
I felt that.
Great.
It's not so much in too many coaching frameworks, but it should be.
No. But I do lectures on this during the
Yes.
coach training program,
Yeah.
and people can take what they want, what they feel will benefit them. So it's not part of the main core coaching curriculums that we teach.
Mm-hmm.
We teach what we call pure coaching, ontological coaching, which is
Mhm.
non-directional, non-judgmental, and the answer lies within the client, within the coach. But we do extra trainings completely free for all of our people on what I've just covered, for those who want it.
Who are open to it. I think you do have to be
Exactly.
have a part of your mind that is open to. I think coming back to what you said regarding spirituality, something that is out there that we can't necessarily put our hands on. You have to believe that there's something else out there.
You do.
So did you apply this when you started Noble Manhattan Coaching? At the very beginning, in the early days, did you have
I
an
did.
idea as to where you wanted to take it?
Well, I did. And I first of all applied it to attracting my first students. Because again, I started with zero budget, no marketing budget, no anything. And there wasn't email and social media quite the way that today. So I used to get leaflets printed and go out late at night, putting them around through doors and letterboxes, all of that type of thing. So I applied it first to attract my first students. And then it just slowly grew from there.
It grew from there. I remember back in 2005, I think it was, there was no Wi-Fi. A dongle hadn't been created.
Yeah.
And in the trainings that I was a part of, I would go home when it was lunchtime in the training, I would go to the office, download my emails, do my emails for the day for a couple hours, and then go back to the training room with no laptop. And I really enjoyed those days because I wasn't distracted. I could be 100% present in the training room. You just triggered a very friendly, a very nice, warm thought and memory from the past there, Gerard. So with the manifestation, let's go back to starting Noble Manhattan. Did you know it was going to have such an impact in the global world? Did you feel it was maybe another insurance company period of time where you may be there for about 4 or 5 successful years and then tap out? Did you have any understanding of just how much of an impact? I mean, 30,000 coaches is huge. 25, this is your 25th anniversary, and you're, I think you said 25 or 28 different countries. Everything's been translated into 8 different languages. That is truly making a difference in the world, Gerard. And was this always your intention, or did it formulate over time?
Yes and no. Yes and no. It has grown. It had always been my intention to make a very positive impact in the life of others. And to begin with, my vision, my dream was a lot smaller than it is now. I thought, if I can train 5 or 10 people to be magnificent coaches, imagine what they can do with their clients. So I was thinking in those numbers. Imagine if I could train 10 people in the next few months. And then it was, what if I could train 25 people? And it has grown. There's some very interesting mathematics out there. Again, I don't want to either bore you or scare your audience away, but coaching, I feel that the universe provides what it needs at different times of evolution. Coaching is a relatively young industry, really. Yes. Started in the not sports coaching, but what we call life personal coaching. Started in the mid to late 1970s. And Thomas Leonard was one of the fathers of coaching, and he coined the term life coach. So it's a relatively new industry. But I happen to think coaching is one of the most powerful interventions that we currently have. It does things that therapy and counseling and all of these do not do. And here's just a couple. Number one, empowers people. It gives people back their own true power, and it gives them courage. It gives them strength. So that's so important. Another thing it does is to do with values. We as human beings, we come into this world pure and fresh and untainted and with very pure values. And then as we grow, we take on the values of our families, we take on the values of our school, our teachers, our community. Then we go to work, we take on the values of our company, and we take on values of Hollywood through films and social media. And our own values get pushed to one side. And we take on all these other values, which causes all sorts of mental health issues and confusion and so on. But coaching helps people to get back to their true core values, what they really find helpful, beneficial, and truthful to them. And when that happens, people change. They change in a magnificent way. Suddenly, decisions are not that difficult. When you have a decision to make, you hold it up against your core values. Does it fit or doesn't it? Yes or no? It gives you the clarity of thought. It gives you precision of thought. And it gives you strength and courage to follow your values. So I could many things.
I bet. So it's sort of like your North Star in your life.
Very much. And
you mentioned pure values. What are pure values versus inherited values?
So we come into the world with a number of, it's like fears. I'm going off on a tangent.
No,
a young baby only has 2 fears, a little baby. Fear of falling, fear of loud noises. All of the other fears we learn. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of success. We learn those. So we can unlearn. As values, we come into the world filled with love, care, compassion. And some of us, many of us, we lose that, or they get diluted as we grow up through life. And we get taught, there have to be winners and losers, and for you to win, others must lose. All of this terrible language. Coaching helps us to get back to our true core values, And the wonderful thing is, through a process of osmosis, if you can help an individual through coaching to become whole again, shall I say, they have an influence on the people around them. You know, if you look at the work of Bruce Lipton and Biology of Belief and many others, Greg Braden and so on, you know, what you think and how you feel without you actually even saying anything has an effect on those people around you. Look at the work of the Heart Math Institute in America.
Yes.
So, you know, the way you feel can influence people around you. So if a coach can help an individual, then that individual will impact the people around them just by virtue of them being.
Osmosis, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, we can help to change the world if we can train thousands upon thousands of magnificent coaches. They can help tens of thousands of clients who will then impact their family, their friends, their relatives, colleagues, and it just spreads out.
So has this been part of your drive to make a difference in the world? Do you have a personal vision for yourself or a personal motto or saying?
I do. You know, I have a belief that we could create a paradigm shift. The world is in a funny old place right now. There are waves of aggression and violence sweeping the planet, unlike anything we have ever seen before.
Right.
However, on the other side, there are waves of awareness sweeping the planet, unlike anything we have ever seen before.
Yeah.
And both of these are rising at what we use the expression, a quickening pace.
Yeah.
And coaching lives on the side of awareness. You know, wonderful Dr. David Hawkins, who's passed on now, you know, wrote the book, it talked about power versus force. And force is the aggression, the anger, the manipulation. Power is where coaching lies.
With the especially with the empower.
Indeed.
As you were mentioning before. So I love the concept. There's a wave of light and a wave of power and a wave of force. Where do you see it? You've been in this field long enough, and I'm sure you've postulated in your own mind, maybe over a cup of coffee or your favorite drink late at night. Where do you see it going? It being these two waves.
Oh, I have a strong belief that power will win out over force eventually. But history shows it doesn't at first. History will show that whenever the two go up against each other, power versus force always wins. But initially. And force requires constant manpower, money, resources. It needs to be fed. Power doesn't. You know, I'll give you one simple example.
I like this, yeah.
It's probably a bad example, but it's just come to my mind. In a country called India, which was colonized by the British Empire and taken over by the British many, many years ago, they took it over and held it by force. Armies, manpower, provisions, weapons, and so on. And then along came a little man, weighing almost nothing, weighing about 40 kilos. Along came this little man who in a very short period of time took back the whole country through use of power with almost no violence at all. So probably a bad example, but
it's a great example. I know I'm when you said India, that's exactly, and when you said it was controlled by force by the British Empire, and I immediately thought of Mahatma Gandhi, who the author who coined these two phrases, the force and power. What was his name? Her name?
David Hawkins. He was a clinical kinesiologist. Wonderful man. And he's passed on now a few years ago. But he wrote many books, but one is Force versus Power.
I'll check that out. So what advice would you give someone who's starting a new I mean, I could keep talking for a long. I'm really finding it interesting, your insights, and I'm curious as to which ones are Gerard's insights based on your vast knowledge. I assume you've read the books behind you, and you've been in this industry for a long time, versus what is delivered through Noble Manhattan. And what you're delivering now is on the level that I think many of our members like to operate on. It's that place where we understand reality, but once you pull back the veil, there's something else happening. And anyone who's in tune with themselves, the universe can feel it. And after you feel it for a period of time, it becomes easier to articulate it. And I think, as you said, there's a new wave coming, and people, I felt that, I feel that, and so does Cal, that there's an awakening of sorts. I don't know if that's the right
Yes.
word. Awakening can have, I don't know, gospel connotations to it, but I don't mean that. But there is some sort of awakening of consciousness, if we want to use that language. Do you off air before we started, you said that COVID had a big impact on the business.
Yes.
It had a big impact globally across the world. What sort of societal or conscious related impact do you think COVID had on the world? And I guess if we could tie it into the force versus power.
Yeah, very good example. Prior to COVID, we used to run a huge amount of physical face-to-face classroom trainings, about 15 locations all over the world, from West Palm Beach, Florida, to Dubai, to Turkey, to Romania, to Cairo, to all of it. And then COVID came, and you couldn't do that. It was illegal. And we had to, and interestingly, we had booked a lot of hotel conference rooms a year in advance because better price.
Correct. Yeah.
A year, 18 months. And many of those hotels held us to the contract. Even though they had to close, they couldn't fulfill, they held us to the contract and made
that was sacrilege. Yes.
So that hurt us hugely. And then we couldn't do our trainings. But of course, we then switched. We started to use Zoom, and with everything crossed, fingers crossed, we thought, please let this work. And my goodness, it did. And we started to attract men and women who would never have been able to come to our physical courses.
Yes.
People couldn't afford it. They couldn't travel. They had
travel,
children,
accommodation.
families,
Yep.
accommodation. And so for the first few months, it was awful. And then it turned around and it became rather wonderful. But COVID was a great example of, and we're getting political here, that of many countries, politicians using draconian force to control a population. And we saw some incredible examples of that.
Yes.
And very few people had the strength of character and the courage to stand up against it. And many of the ones who did were castigated and cancelled and so on, and it took a lot of strength because you knew you could lose everything. Your government would just take away everything you've got if you stood up against it. But some of us did. And we said, no, this is not right.
Not okay.
This is not the way. But it was interesting to see how all of the governments all over the world spoke almost with the same voice, using the same words, same language, almost as if they had been given the script to read.
The same script. Yes.
And my goodness, they locked people down. They put them in camps. They did all sorts of terrible things. So that was a good example of force. Force, the terrible force. But out of it has come an increased awareness. Now there are even more people who are aware that there is something more, and that maybe they were not given the right information. Maybe they were not told the truth, and so on.
Yes.
So it has had a rebounding effect. And when you push people down, they will rebound and they will come up with a greater strength.
With a vengeance.
With a vengeance, even.
So what does this mean for the coaching industry? What does this mean for Noble Manhattan?
Well, the coaching industry right now, from figures I've been given recently, from PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, they do a worldwide survey, coaching is now the second fastest growing industry in the world. Second fastest.
Wow. Okay.
Behind number one will be no surprise. It's IT.
IT. Yes.
Where hardware, software, AI, all of that is growing like a volcano. But coaching is the second fastest growing. And it's because it produces magnificent results. Right now, although when you look on LinkedIn, it would seem everyone is a coach, and most of them have not been trained properly, there are actually not enough good quality professional coaches in the world to fill the need.
The need, yeah.
I'll give you a little mathematical example. How many coaches are there in the world? Well, the figures change, but the best guesstimate is about 300,000. These are men and women who have gone through a proper official training and so on. About 300,000. Is that a lot? Is it a little? Well, in the United Kingdom, there are 400,000 registered therapists. Now, we know that because they have to be on a government register.
Right. 400,000.
400,000. In America, US, there are 1.2 million registered therapists. We know this because they have to be insured and the insurance companies keep record. So now go back, there are 300,000 professional, I use the word professional qualified coaches. Actually, that's not much.
Not a lot. No, that's not a lot at all.
No. So there is an enormous room for growth. There are many companies right now that want to bring in quality coaches. They can't find them. So no, my feeling is that the coaching industry will grow and carry on growing for many years to come. And even new innovative techniques like AI will be of benefit to coach. They won't replace coaches at all, but it will benefit existing coaches who are able to use AI to help them help their clients even more.
I get approached a lot by people who have created AI. In fact, today I had a meeting with someone and they have I kept referring to them as a bot, but they kept correcting me and said, no, they're not bots, they're AI agents. And you should treat them like another employee of your company. And I had to wrap my head around that because anyway, maybe I'm old school, but I had to wrap my head around that. So can you unpack that a little bit for our viewers? Because I'm sure you've been contacted every second day by someone who says, "Hey, I can clone you and make an AI agent out of you, and then they can see all your clients, and you don't have to do anything," or words to that effect. Could you share with the world? Because I would imagine you'd be somewhat at the forefront of the AI revolution with coaching.
Yeah, we've been looking into this an awful lot. Now, so I'll do the negative bit first.
Okay.
So there will be situations where companies will pay quite a lot of money to create an in-house AI coaching agent.
Yeah.
So that some of their individual managers can log on to their intranet, log on to the AI coach, ask some questions, get some immediate help.
Insights. Yep.
Okay. So that will happen and that will grow. But it will not replace a number of things. One, it won't replace companies bringing in coaches to work with teams and senior executives on a one-to-one basis. AI can't do team coaching the way a human can sit in a room with 8 other people around you in a semicircle and you do a team coaching session.
Yeah, definitely.
AI can't do that. AI can't do the one-to-one, and I use the word deep, very, very deep and personal one-to-one executive coaching. Not quite the same way at all with the emotional content.
Yes.
What AI can do is it can help coaches in a couple of ways. So it can help coaches increase the number of clients they are working with simultaneously. So instead of a coach doing 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, they can have multiple clients and they can manage those much more effectively. And it will help them with their time management and with their income. Because instead of maybe dealing with, 5 clients in a week, so 20 in a month, They could have 100 in a month.
Mm-hmm.
It will also help coaches analyze and assist their clients more in terms of analyzing their goals in a deeper way.
Okay.
So it can be a tool that will help coaches get more clients, and on the marketing side, get more clients, have more clients, work with more clients, and be more effective with those clients.
Okay. I with the mark, how would it help with it? Could you unpack you mentioned a coach can see one person a day, that's 5 a week. Now they can see 20 a day, that's 100 a week. How would that work with AI?
Because they can intersperse their one-to-one interaction with their client, which would be like you and I are here now
Mhm.
on Zoom. I can see you. I can see your facial expression. I can read you, read the body language, but I can only do 1 an hour. But I could intersperse that with AI working with the clients with me. So the client could have a session with the AI twice a week, and they could have then a session with me once a fortnight, live. And
Okay.
the session will mesh together.
All right. And with the session with the
And
the AI would again give feedback to me as the coach.
correct. And I would get all of those notes, and I'll get all of that, which I will then address in our live session.
Okay. This is fascinating and very, very progressive. I love reading the Harvard Business Review. I enjoy reading that. And I was reading a piece on AI used in human resources, and they did some studies, and people were very happy to receive positive feedback from an AI agent about their work, but they weren't very happy to receive negative feedback from an AI agent because of their work. And the reason behind it was because they felt that AI is at the end of the day, it's pre-programmed, and people don't like to have constructive negative feedback most of the time. So when they receive it, they felt, well, this is just pre-programmed and I didn't fit the mold that you gave it. But I'd like to justify that I did do a good job. For example, I want to talk to a human because it came down to they felt that they had more of an influence of the end result talking to a human than they did an AI bot, which is, I thought, very, very interesting. What are your thoughts on that one?
It will make dealing with a real human more of a premium experience.
Yes. Do you think that would be in sales as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Most
And
definitely.
I think for a time there was the hologram. Remember the hologram?
I do.
They were saying, oh, X so and so is going to be a hologram on stage, and then they won't have to leave their house in America. Do you think the world's gone off that tangent, or do you think the hologram is maybe going to have a comeback later on?
Might have a comeback, but for the moment, it left. It's
A little while ago. Well, what about you have virtual, like everyone has a virtual goggles, and they feel like they're on stage or next to the presenter or the coach. Do you see that maybe having a comeback as well?
Possibly.
Yeah.
And it would need to be a little more advanced than it is now, which it probably will get there in a year or two. But again, it would allow you I could coach you, and we'd both be wearing our goggles, but instead of looking at each other on a Zoom screen, it would be as if we were sitting together,
Yes.
opposite each other, having a cup of coffee.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would see your whole body, and I would see everything, and you would see me, and we'd have a coffee together. So it could potentially make the experience more real.
More real. My beautiful wife Amanda, she's a coach, hypnotherapist, and counselor down here, and she, for a period of time, I'm not too sure if she still uses it, but she was using there was a virtual program for working with clients who had phobias. So if someone had a snake phobia, for example, so you'll do the work, and then they'd put the goggles on, and then it would have a snake in front of them, for example, and it was able to somehow help them on a therapy level. And there was scientific studies that supported it, etc. But I felt that it's funny, isn't it? Some great ideas like the hologram, you think there's potential there, but then something else lifts off and just completely gazumps it, and you
Yeah.
completely forget about the hologram because this area has taken off, and you never know which seed is going to sprout. Everything gets
No, you
watered,
don't.
but which seed is going
Yeah.
to sprout? And so I'm conscious of your time. I know you're very, very busy. And I want to thank you so much for investing this time in this morning, your morning, my evening, sharing what you have with our community members. Regarding Noble Manhattan, I asked at the very beginning, why aren't you down here in Australia? It seems like a leading, very progressive coaching organization. How can someone find you if someone wanted to connect with you? If someone wanted to bring Noble Manhattan down to Australia, could you unpack that for us, please?
Of course. So, right. We do have many individual students from Australia who have signed and done our programs. So
Okay.
quite a few. But we have no partner on the ground.
Okay.
All around the world, we work with what we call master distributor partners. So it could be an individual, a single man or woman. It could be, in some cases, it's a couple. In some cases, it's a company. They're all different. But they have come to us and said, we would like to be your representative. We want to be Noble Manhattan in Switzerland, in Spain, and you know. So we would talk to them, and they would then, we would brand them. We would set up the coach training school for them in that country. We'd provide all of the infrastructure, the IT, the learning management systems, the IP, and then we train them. We give them a 12-week initial training program, and then even more after that. So they become our real partner in that territory or country.
It's not a franchise,
No, it's not a franchise. No, I've always felt franchises are hard, tough on the franchisee. They're unforgiving, actually. They really are unforgiving.
Okay.
Targets and so on. And no, ours is we call it a distributor because they are there to distribute our products and services.
And if someone, so Noble Manhattan, NOBLEMANH.
So it's Noble, NOBLE hyphen Manhattan, MANHATTAN.com. They just go there. There's a number of buttons you can send emails and so on.
And information. So if there is anyone out there who would like to connect with Gerard or one of your team members, jump on the website and contact them. I know one of, I think, is it a master distributor in the UK? A good friend of mine,
Ashley, yes, indeed. We had a master distributor, Ian, who was with us for 20 years. Ian retired, and Ashley stepped in about a year ago, and he is our master distributor now in the whole of the UK. Lovely guy. And coincidentally, this is a bonus, he lives in the same town as me. So that's
really?
Normal.
So he's literally just down the road from you right now.
We actually meet for coffees. Yeah.
Right. That's brilliant. Good. So I guess if I'm to sum up if I could bottle what has driven you and I guess given you that drive to want to make a difference in the world, from a very young age, you, with your family around the dinner table, you didn't know it at the time, but people were focusing on what they wanted. They were bringing the dreams into their minds and verbalizing them and putting them out there into the universe. You knew from a very young age you had to take accountability, and that learning reared its head again when you left the military, when you left the Marines, and then again after your insurance company learnings. Take massive action, and what you put out is what you get in terms of frequency.
One of my mentors, a man called Bob Patmore, and Robert Patmore as he's known, he taught me something. He said, Gerard, take heavy action on a good idea. Other people will look at it, think about it, sleep on it, have a coffee, talk about it, but never actually take it.
And you've taken a lot of action. Brilliant. Well, Gerard, again, thank you very much. What's it about 12:15 in the afternoon for you? Lunchtime for you? It's 9:13 my time here in Australia. Bedtime for me. Just a massive, massive thank you very much for being here. And we will see you again very soon. Connekt Unplugged number 51, signing off with Gerard O'Donovan. Bye for now. Hi there, this is Conor and Kallum from Connekt Coaching. Hope you are enjoying the Unplugged podcast. Nothing lights us up more than seeing businesses thrive, especially in uncertain times. We have 32 combined years of doing nothing but mentoring and training businesses from around the globe in order to increase their revenue and thrive in uncertain times. So what we would like to do is share with you a little bit about what we've discovered over the last 32 years.
We've created this amazing business model called the Forever Business Model, and we want to give it to you for free. All you need to do is jump down into the description below. There's a link there called Steal Our Forever Business Model. Click on the link. There's a 9-minute video that you can watch where we unpack everything you need to know to implement it in your business right away.